Welcome to The Money Trail, where we delve into hidden financial history. Today, we're uncovering the untold stories of the 10 wildest bank robberies of the 1800s, starting with a bang. Imagine strolling down a bustling New York City street in 1863, amidst the Civil War chaos. Suddenly, you notice an unusual sight, a group of men nonchalantly exiting the walls of the city's famous Manhattan Savings Institution, carrying heavy sacks. Little do you know that this is no ordinary scene. It's the beginning of one of history's most audacious bank heists. The thieves, led by a cunning Irish-American named George Leslie, had spent 2 years meticulously planning their operation. They rented an apartment across from the bank to study its daily routines and vulnerabilities. Then, in a daring move, they dug a 50-foot tunnel beneath the street connecting directly to the bank's vault. But here's what they don't want you to know. This wasn't just any vault. It was considered the strongest and most impenetrable in America at that time. The bank's president, Henry Grinnell, even declared it absolutely safe after its installation. Yet, on December 16, 1863, Leslie's crew managed to drill through 2 layers of iron and steal an estimated $2.7 million in cash and gold coins, worth over $50 million today. This wasn't merely a robbery. It was a sophisticated operation that revealed the shocking truth about urban security during one of America's most volatile periods. As we continue our journey through these remarkable cases, remember this: behind every headline lies a hidden story waiting to be unearthed. And that's exactly what we intend to do here on The Money Trail. Stay tuned as we uncover more shocking secrets from the annals of financial history. Next, the Great Diamond Hoax of 1872, where 2 conmen almost brought down Wall Street with nothing but a few worthless rocks. 1872, the height of America's Gilded Age, a time when wealth and industrialization defined the nation's landscape. Yet, amidst this prosperity, 2 men would concoct a scheme that would nearly topple Wall Street. This is the tale of the Great Diamond Hoax. Our story begins with Philip Arnold, a former Confederate soldier, and his partner John Slack, a veteran prospector. In 1870, they claimed to have discovered the world's largest diamond field in Colorado. However, their discovery was no mere stroke of luck. Instead, it was an intricately planned hoax that would ensnare some of the era's most powerful figures. Arnold and Slack began by secretly purchasing hundreds of worthless stones from a Boston jewelry shop, including garnets, zircons, and even glass imitations. They then planted these stones across a remote plot of land in Colorado, creating the illusion of a vast diamond deposit. When news leaked out about their discovery, it sparked a frenzy among investors desperate to cash in on this seemingly limitless treasure trove. Enter the era's financial titans, George Roberts, president of the Bank of California, and William Ralston, founder of the Bank of California and Comstock Silver Mining Company. Both men were captivated by the prospect of owning a piece of this lucrative enterprise. They pooled their resources, investing $150,000, approximately $3 million today, for exclusive mining rights to the diamond field. As suspicions grew about the authenticity of the diamonds, a team of esteemed geologists was dispatched to verify the claim. However, unbeknownst to them, Arnold and Slack had meticulously prepared for this moment. They hired actors to pose as fellow prospectors, who discovered additional diamond deposits near the original site, further solidifying its legitimacy. Despite mounting evidence pointing toward a scam, Roberts and Ralston refused to abandon their investment. It wasn't until a journalist exposed the hoax in 1873 that the truth came to light. The 2 conmen had nearly pulled off the greatest financial swindle of the century, leaving behind a trail of deception and betrayal that would forever change the face of American finance. Stay tuned as we continue unraveling the most audacious bank heists and cons from history on The Money Trail. Up next, the tale of Jesse James, the notorious outlaw whose robberies would captivate a nation and leave behind a legacy of rebellion against the establishment. As we delve further into The Money Trail, the era of the 1800s presents us with a colorful cast of characters who, through their daring heists and cunning schemes, left indelible marks on American financial history. One such figure is Jesse James, whose name has become synonymous with bank robberies and the Old West. Born in Missouri in 1847, James turned to a life of crime following the Civil War's end. The conflict had left him disillusioned and bitter, fueling his desire to strike back at the Union forces and the banks that represented them. Over the next 15 years, he would orchestrate a series of robberies with his gang, netting substantial sums and capturing the nation's imagination. Among their most audacious crimes was the 1876 raid on the First National Bank in Northfield, Minnesota. The gang targeted this institution due to its perceived connections to Union sympathizers. However, the robbery proved disastrous. Local townspeople confronted the robbers, resulting in the deaths of several gang members and forcing Jesse James into hiding. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, a different breed of criminal was making headlines. The exploits of George Leslie, also known as the gentleman bank robber, rivaled those of Jesse James. Born in New York City in 1840, Leslie leveraged his charm and intelligence to mastermind elaborate bank heists. Leslie's unique approach involved carefully researching targeted banks and recruiting skilled craftsmen to create counterfeit blueprints for safe cracking. His most successful job occurred in 1869 when he orchestrated the robbery of the Ocean National Bank in New York City, stealing an estimated $800,000 worth over $15 million today. Despite their different methods and motives, both James and Leslie represent the wild and unpredictable nature of 19th century bank robberies, forever etching their names into the annals of American financial history. 1866, Deadwood, Dakota Territory. A man by the name of John Sontag, a former Confederate soldier, found himself in a precarious financial situation. To alleviate his monetary woes, he turned to a life of crime, orchestrating one of the most audacious bank heists of the 19th century. The target? The First National Bank of Deadwood. Sontag and his accomplices rode into town on horseback, brandishing firearms and shouting for the bank president, Thomas Deadweiler, to open the vault. Once inside, they proceeded to stuff their saddlebags with an estimated $16,000 in gold coins, a sum worth nearly $500,000 today. But how did they pull off such a feat? The answer lies in the bank's security measures, or lack thereof. At that time, many banks relied on little more than thick wooden doors and the honor system to protect their assets. This made them easy targets for determined criminals like Sontag. Fast forward 3 years to 1869, where we find ourselves in New York City, the epicenter of American finance. Here, a man named George Leslie, better known as the Gentleman Bandit, would execute his most daring robbery yet, the theft of $800,000 from the Ocean National Bank. Leslie's approach was far more sophisticated than Sontag's. He spent months studying the bank's layout, observing its employees, and even befriending one of its directors. Using this insider information, he devised a meticulous plan to bypass the bank's defenses, including its state-of-the-art time locks and iron vault doors. On the day of the robbery, Leslie and his accomplices entered the bank during business hours, posing as workmen repairing the ceiling. While their ruse went unnoticed, they drilled through the floor beneath the president's desk, accessing the vault from below. Once inside, they quickly filled satchels with cash and securities before escaping undetected. Both Sontag and Leslie represent the wild and unpredictable nature of 19th century bank robberies. Their exploits serve as stark reminders of the importance of robust security measures, lest we find ourselves forever etched into the annals of American financial history for all the wrong reasons. 1866, New York City. The scene couldn't be more different from the tranquil farms of Missouri. This time, it was the elite Manhattan Savings Institution that found itself in the crosshairs of a daring heist. A group of meticulous thieves, led by George Leslie, yes, the very same man who'd later team up with Sontag, executed one of the most audacious bank robberies in American history. Planning for nearly 3 years, they dug a tunnel from a nearby basement directly into the bank's vault, avoiding detection despite drilling just inches away from where guards patrolled. When they finally broke through on October 27, they discovered a treasure trove, over $2.5 million in cash and securities, equivalent to about $40 million today. But here's where things get interesting. Instead of splurging or fleeing, Leslie and his accomplices chose an unusual path. They covered up their crime meticulously. They returned some of the stolen gold certificates to other banks in small quantities to avoid suspicion. Most remarkably, they used the purloined securities to manipulate the stock market, raking in even more illicit profits before finally disappearing. Yet, as with all cover-ups, cracks eventually appeared. In 1869, a series of peculiar stock transactions raised red flags, leading investigators back to the Manhattan Savings Institute heist. One by one, the conspirators were apprehended, including Leslie himself in 1870. However, he wouldn't live to see trial, meeting an untimely end at the hands of a jealous lover. In contrast, the aftermath for the bank was devastating. Its reputation never recovered, leading to its eventual merger with another financial institution. The incident served as a catalyst for stricter banking regulations and security measures, forever changing the landscape of American finance. Just like the Sontag gang's exploits, the Manhattan Savings Institute robbery underscores the enduring allure and danger inherent in chasing easy money. It reminds us that no matter how sophisticated our defenses, there will always be those who try to outsmart them, leaving behind trails of intrigue and consequence. 1863, less than a decade after the Manhattan Savings Institute robbery. The Civil War had just ended, and America was on the brink of an industrial revolution. Amidst this backdrop, another daring heist would take place, the James Younger Gang's attempted robbery of the First National Bank in Northfield, Minnesota. This gang, led by Jesse and Frank James, were notorious outlaws who had made their names through a series of bank and train robberies across the Midwest. The First National Bank was rumored to have over $150,000 on hand, making it an irresistible target for the gang. However, unlike many of their previous successful heists, this one ended in disaster. The citizens of Northfield banded together and confronted the robbers, killing 2 gang members and causing the rest to flee. Only 2620cc was taken during the chaos. The James Younger Gang's failed attempt at the First National Bank highlights a recurring theme in these wild bank robberies. No matter how much security evolves, there will always be those willing to take enormous risks for substantial rewards. Fast forward to 1980, a time when digital technology was beginning to revolutionize banking and finance. This era saw the infamous Bank of America computer room heist in Los Angeles, where a group of thieves stole nearly $7 million by exploiting vulnerabilities in the bank's electronic transfer system. Richard G. Trotter, a leader of this group, used his background as a former Bank of America employee to orchestrate one of the most significant computer crimes in history. By manipulating the bank's internal controls and creating fake accounts, Trotter and his associates were able to transfer funds undetected for months before being discovered. These two examples from different periods demonstrate that despite advancements in technology and security measures, there remains a constant cat-and-mouse game between financial institutions and would-be thieves. Just as the Sontag gang and the James Younger gang did in their time, modern criminals continue to find new ways to exploit vulnerabilities and outsmart defenses, leaving behind intriguing tales of ambition, cunning, and consequence. 1866, a little over a year since the end of the American Civil War. The United States is in the throes of Reconstruction, and the nation's banks are still reeling from the chaos of those tumultuous years. Amid this turmoil, a robbery so daring and audacious would take place, one that would leave investigators baffled for decades to come. The target, the First National Bank of Northfield, Minnesota, the robbers, the James Younger gang. Led by none other than Jesse James himself, these notorious outlaws hoped to walk away with a cool $150,000 in cold hard cash, the equivalent of more than $3 million today. The plan seemed foolproof. Posing as peace officers, the gang members approached the bank and demanded entrance. Once inside, they quickly subdued the cashier and began filling their satchels with greenbacks. But things didn't go quite according to plan. As word of the robbery spread through town, a group of Northfield citizens banded together to confront the gang. In the ensuing gunfight, 2 of the robbers were killed and the rest forced to flee empty-handed. So what went wrong? Evidence suggests that the citizens of Northfield may have been tipped off about the robbery beforehand. A local newspaper had printed a vague warning about unexpected visitors just days earlier, a veiled reference to the James Younger gang perhaps. Furthermore, during the getaway, several bystanders claimed to have seen the robbers drop a satchel filled with money that was never recovered. But even more intriguing is the question of whether or not the robbery was an inside job. Some historians believe that the bank's cashier, Joseph Haywood, may have deliberately misled the robbers into believing that there was far more money in the vault than there actually was, a ruse that would ultimately cost him his life. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The failed robbery at the First National Bank of Northfield marked the beginning of the end for the James Younger gang. Over the next few years, Jesse James and his remaining cohorts would be hunted relentlessly by law enforcement officials, a testament to the fact that in the world of bank robberies, there's no such thing as a foolproof plan. 300 words. Let's dive in. As we've traversed the wild landscape of 19th century bank heists, one question might linger. Why does any of this matter today? The answer lies in understanding how these audacious crimes shaped our modern financial system and the security measures that protect it. Bank robberies of the 1800s were often violent, unpredictable, and technologically unsophisticated, yet they served as catalysts for innovations we take for granted today. For instance, the daring daylight raid on the Manhattan Savings Institution in 1878, which netted a staggering $2.5 million, led to significant advancements in bank security. This includes time lock safes, armed guards, and more robust vaults, all designed to deter would-be thieves. Moreover, these historic robberies underscore the enduring truth that crime doesn't pay. Take the case of Jesse James, the notorious outlaw whose gang attempted to rob the First National Bank of Northfield. That ill-fated heist didn't just mark the beginning of the end for the James Younger gang, it also highlighted the futility of resorting to crime as a means of wealth acquisition. In today's digital age, where cybercrime is rampant, this lesson remains as relevant as ever. Finally, examining these historic bank robberies offers us a glimpse into the societal conditions that foster such lawlessness. From economic depression to income inequality, many factors contributed to the rise of bank robbers during the 1800s. By understanding these historical contexts, we can better grapple with similar issues plaguing our society today. In conclusion, while the wild bank robberies of the 1800s may seem like distant relics of a bygone era, their impact resonates powerfully in our modern financial landscape. They serve as stark reminders of the importance of robust security measures, ethical financial practices, and thoughtful societal responses to economic hardship. So, next time you step into a bank or make an online transaction, spare a moment to reflect on these stories. They are part of your money trail, a testament to our collective financial history, woven with tales of daring, innovation, and lessons learned the hard way.